Hi everyone. Hey, it looks like we're making biscuits. Oh no, 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 no. Today we're making Brazilian cheese bread. A little different. It turned out pretty good. Pretty well I had everything in the cupboard. Let's get everything together and make them now because you'll like this one. Before we start, get your oven on 400 degrees and put the rack in the middle. I'm going to make a half batch from what the recipe calls for because actually I get quite a bit out of just a half batch. The first thing we need is tapioca flour or tapioca starch. You'll have to go to the bulk food or maybe even a specialty store for it. I got mine at a bulk food. You might have a little bit of a time looking for it. I'm sure you'll do okay. We're also going to need some cheese. I've got a 3/4 cup of Parmesan grated and 3/4 cups of mozzarella shredded. We're also going to need some cooking oil, 3/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of water, a little bit of salt, 1 teaspoon, and 1 egg. Let's get all this going right now. I pulled out my stand mixer, and the first thing we're going to do is put our tapioca starch into the mixing bowl. Problem number 1, I can't get the starch out. Now, it is very similar to cornstarch in consistency, I guess to be expected. So I cut holes, I made a mess all over the place. I had it spray, so just be careful when you're doing it. Over to our stove. In goes our 3/4 cup of milk, our 1/4 cup of water, teaspoon of salt, and we're going to put in 3 tablespoons of oil, but I didn't think I put enough in, so I put 4. That should be close enough to the 3 we need. Now this has to come up to a boil, so that's what we're going to do. You want to stir it occasionally so it doesn't get stuck to the bottom, and once it starts boiling, it almost looks like it's thickened up a little bit. Get it off the element. I just got to make sure the paddle's off on the stand mixer. Over goes our milk, right in. Put the paddle back on. And we're going to carefully put it on low to start because watch how it sprays. Kind of sprays a little bit if you go too fast. So you want to wait until the milk and the starch all incorporate, or at least start to. Then you can speed it up a bit. Now I found this was dry, so I went back in and said, well, I'm pretty sure it's not quite supposed to be like that. So I guessed. Put a little bit of milk in. I should have let it go for a bit, but poured the same amount in again, so that's probably a little more than 1/4 cup of milk. I could have dialed it down just a little bit. Hey, it's the first time. What are you going to do? You don't know until you know. So look at that. It comes out nice and smooth. Kind of like a real thick icing, really, in consistency. We're going to put our 1 egg in. It's going to take a minute or 2 for it to actually fully incorporate. Mix, 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 mix. There you go. Now we'll thicken up a bit when we put our cheese in. Yeah, it looks pretty well mixed right now. And if you're really worried about the sides, grab a spatula and help out. Now the cheese goes in just a little bit at a time. And I was kind of making a mess because you only got so much room to work in. A little bit of the parm, then a little bit of the mozzarella, then back to the parm. I just kept going back and forth until all the cheese from both of the bowls was into the mixing bowl and mixing all together. So there we go. Let it all get nice and incorporated. That looks pretty good. So we're going to pull up our blade and look at, see how it's kind of thick, but like it's much thicker than pancake batter, but it's not like a dough. So I guess if we put more tapioca starch in, which I didn't have, that would probably thicken it up just a bit. But we made it work. So we got a baking sheet with some parchment paper, of course, and here's our first tablespoon of dough going on the board. I wasn't really sure how much I needed, so I thought, okay, well, hey, I'm sure this is going to expand a bit. Let's just throw in a good tablespoon-ish. And of course, I'm kind of making a mess till I get some weight on that parchment paper. So that's what we did. Good tablespoon at a time. And it got a little easier as it went along and seemed to be working. We got the whole mixing bowl done, and there you go. Look at how many we got there. It's not bad for a half batch. 16 biscuits. Let's get them in the oven, 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. And when they come out, check that out. They look pretty good. Nice and brown. Yummy. So let's grab one of these biscuits. They've cooled down for about 5 minutes too, by the way. I'm going to cut into it and I want to show you something. It's biscuit-like on the top and it's kind of gooey inside. Well, you can barely see it. But they were good. It had a really wild flavor to it. There you go. My attempt at Brazilian cheese bread. I hope you'll give it a try too. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this in any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.